Okay, so we are with a new start, a new year, everything crazy, but we're going back to our favorite sefer for this year, Einayim, from Nachum of Chernobyl, and it's very. I think that it worked out well. That his ideas for Parshat Bereishit are actually very relevant and very time appropriate for this crazy time that we're in, and really he talks about all the like everything that's messed up in the world, and right now is no better time to talk about what's everything that's messed up in the world. So because the world is just so messed up right now. So he speaks about and I just as I said, this all the Torah that we're learning, it should be a zchut for all of our soldiers, that Hashem should protect them and they should have lots of success, and it should be a zchut for all of us that Hashem should protect us and bring us really big Yeshua, and he should really completely obliterate our enemies, b'ezrat Hashem. And it should be really something big and something powerful, leading to a geula, leading to really a real clear presence of Hashem with the real geula shlema right now. So he's going to talk about also. He's going to talk about how Torah is really a big zchus, and Torah is really what brings the geula in a certain sense. So it starts with the beginning. It starts with Bereishit, bara Elokim et hashamayim v'ha'aretz, and he quotes from Chazal, he brings from a midrash. It says that what's it mean Bereishit? That Bereishit is a reference to Torah. It said Hashem chanani Bereishit darko. Rashi brings first Rashi in Chumash that Hashem chanani Bereishit darko, that Hashem's giving us insight. Chanenu me'itcha. So Hashem was mechanenotam, our understanding that is called the Torah. The Bereishit Darko, that's called the beginning of his path is called Bereishit, is called Chanani, is called the understanding, which is the Torah. So Bereishit bara Elokim means that with Torah, so Hashem created the heavens and the earth. Okay, so if Hashem was creating the world with the Torah, so the Torah and Hashem are really very intertwined. They're really unified. They're really one. And like we know from the Rambam that hu hayodea hu hamada, that with God, that the knower and the known are actually one. So Hashem and his wisdom are actually one and the same. So when we're connecting to Torah, so we're actually connecting to Hashem himself. And if Hashem is creating the world with his Torah, that means he's creating the world with himself. Okay, now he takes that a step further to say that something that he learned from his Rebbe, from the Maggid, and that is koach hapoel banifal. Koach hapoel banifal means that the strength, the energy of the actor is in the action. So if I'm doing something, so whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm making, so my energy is going to be in that thing. Okay? So therefore, if Hashem was creating the world with Torah, so that means that there is Torah in the world. If Hashem's essence was creating, so then Hashem's essence is found in that world. Okay? So this is so if a person is going to really think about koach hapal v'nifal, he's going to realize that everything in the world has godliness in it, has Hashem's presence in it, and so and he explains that really the purpose of Hashem putting his presence into these lowly things, into these things which are actually very separate from him, was actually that we should be able to find his presence in this lower existence and recognize it and bring it back to the top. Okay, so this is this cycle, this rotation, so to speak, of how Hashem created the world, that he put everything down for the purpose of it bringing back, and that's our purpose. Okay. Now, what would be the purpose of that? Well, what's the purpose of having an absence in order to be brought back to the beginning, brought back to the presence. So this is something that we're speaking about in a different class recently, and that is something called Yichud Hashem. Yichud Hashem. And this is really the tachlis. This is really the purpose of everything. The purpose of our reality is something called Yichud Hashem. That Hashem should be one in the universe. What does it mean that Hashem Echad V'Shmo Echad? So Hashem Echad V'Shmo Echad means that there is nothing else. So what does it mean that Hashem is one? So that the only way for Hashem to be one is if there would be a possibility of thinking that there is something else besides Hashem, and to say that no, that it's really just Hashem. Right? If there isn't any possibility of there not being Hashem, so then it doesn't really mean anything that Hashem is one. Right? So if it's called like preaching to the choir. Like if we're talking, like if I'm saying something which is, if you're saying something which is completely obvious, if you're saying something which is completely obvious, so then you're actually not saying anything. Hello. Okay. Hello. Welcome. So if you're saying something which is really obvious, then you're not saying anything. So the only way that it's possible to be saying something, you can turn it around if you want. The only way that it's possible to say that you're saying something is only if there would be a possibility for something else. Okay? So that's why. That's the reason why. Hey, Shalom. So the reason why Hashem made this possibility for an absence, the reason why Hashem made possibility of negating Hashem's presence in the world, is that we should be able to recognize that there can't be such a thing as Hashem's absence, and bringing it back to Hashem's presence. And by doing that, that is the unity, that is the Yichud Hashem, and that to say that there actually is Einot Novado, that even in the places that seem to scream that God is not there, to recognize that God is even there. And that is the Yichud Hashem. Okay? Meaning that if there wouldn't be the possibility of an absence, then Hashem's unity would actually be worthless. Okay? So when it says that Hashem's wisdom, that Hashem's Torah is in the world, Hashem created the world with Torah. So that tells us that if we look carefully, we can find a Torah in every bit of the world. And this is something that is actually mentioned in the first Torah of Rabbi Nachman as well. And when I teach this in the first Torah of Rabbi Nachman, so I always explain that the Rabbi Nachman's first Torah is really the introduction of what it means of his entire book. It's the Torah of Torah. The Torah of Torah is that to recognize that the Torah is actually the blueprint of reality. To understand that there is some kind of seder, that there's two ways of looking at the world. That there's a way of looking at the world with chaos, with randomness, with absurdity, and then there's an alternative, and that is to look at the world with the light, with the eyes of Torah, and by doing so, you're actually illuminating the world. Okay, so this is what it means that he quotes from the Zohar that Chacham einav berasho. A wise man, literally, it means a wise man. His eyes are in his head. What does it mean? A wise man, his eyes are in his head. Everybody's eyes are in their head. We haven't yet met a person that their eyes are in their feet. So what does it mean their eyes are in their head? So he says that the Zohar explains that Berasho means that a wise person looks at the Bereishit of everything. He looks at the source of everything, and the source of everything is the wisdom of that thing. It's the Torah of that thing, the Torah with which it was created. Okay, so meaning that a wise person, the way he lives life is that in everything in the world, so everything that he encompasses, so he asks himself, what is the seichel of this thing? What is the logic of this thing? What is the chachma of this thing? That what is the godly plan for this thing? That in that sense it makes sense. It fits into this bigger infrastructure. Okay, meaning that in anything that we encounter in life, so there's two ways to look at it. We can look at it that it's just a random thing. It's a random object. It's a random interaction. It's a random piece of information, or that it somehow fits into this larger picture of Hashem's plan in the world. Okay, and that is the chachma of the thing. That is the wisdom of the thing. That when everything that we encounter, we ask ourselves, how does this fit into the bigger picture? The bigger picture of the story of man on this earth, of our purpose in creation, of how we're bringing the world from day one until Mashiach. Okay, that is what it means to live life with chachma. Okay, so he explains that if we look at at these first psukim, so it gives us a little bit of insight. So it starts with Bereishit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'haaretz. Hashem created the world with Reshit, which means Torah, which means wisdom, which really is connected with God's essence. Okay, so then it continues. V'haaretz hayta tohu v'avohu. That the physical reality was tohu v'avohu. Tohu v'avohu means chaos. V'choshech al pnei tahom. It was chaotic, and it was dark. Okay, and this is the secular look at the world. This is to look at reality with a secular mentality is chaotic and dark. However, that there's this alternative way of looking at reality, and that is with the eyes of Ruach Elokim, with the eyes of Bereishit, with the eyes of to look at the source of everything and to recognize that there is light and order. Okay, that there's two ways of living life. There's a way of living life which is a life of chaos and darkness, and there's a way of living life which is light and order. Okay, this is our privilege of being able to have Torah, being able to have this light. That when we're talking about Torah, the Torah enlightens our life in the sense that without Torah, we're lost. Okay, it's like a metaphor of a forest, that everything is just lost, everything is gone, everything is like we have no idea if we're coming or going, we have no idea what everything is about, and the Torah simply gives us a plan. It gives us direction. It helps us to know what's the end goal. If you don't know what the end goal is, so then we're real goners. We're really lost. So Torah enlightens us in the sense that it tells us that what's the path, where do we want to go? Okay, so this is our. Perhaps in the army they have I know you wouldn't know it, they have these special binoculars that can see through the darkness. Right? You know what they're called? They have a name.
Night vision goggles.
What? Night vision goggles. Okay, so the Torah is our night vision goggles. That's a help. It lights up the night. It lights up the night. Now we have direction. Now we know where we're going. Okay, so so now he says that what's the next pasuk? Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or Vayehi Or. Okay, so what does it mean? Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. So he says that Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or means that if a person is going to learn Torah, the Shema. Okay, what does it mean? What does it mean, the Shema? That what? For the sake of bringing God into the world. Okay, if a person is going to learn Torah for the purpose of, and that's what it means. Vayomer, if you speak words of Torah, Elokim, but it has to be with the right intentions. Vayehi Or. So that brings light into the world. Okay, and this is our opportunity. This is our ability to lighten up the world, to bring chaos, to bring the opposite, to bring order and to bring light into the world through our learning Torah. Okay, and this is the blueprint of reality. This is the blueprint of everything that's going to be going on for the rest of the Torah. This is a summary of the entire Torah. That there's two ways to look at life. There's the look of life of choshech, and you're a busy girl that keep getting pop-ups. I'm not reading, don't worry. Then I'm not going to read them. That you can look at life with the eyes of with the eyes of darkness and chaos, that everything makes no sense, everything is backwards, and you can look at life with the eyes of light, meaning direction and order. That everything is going somewhere, and everything has meaning. Okay, and that is two ways of looking, and the way to change, the way to bring ourselves from the mentality of chaos, nothing makes sense, to the mentality that everything, I have a mission, I have a purpose, I have light, I have direction, is through learning Torah. Okay, this is what lightens up the light. This is what lightens up the world. Okay, and this is something very real that I've heard from not religious friends that they've told me that they feel jealous of their religious friends that they know what they're doing in this life, that they know what they're doing. Like I'm lost, I'm confused. I don't believe in Torah because I don't believe in Torah, but I'm jealous. I wish I could have direction. Okay, I wish I could know where I'm going. Okay, and that's the Torah gives us direction, and that's part of this gift that Hashem gives us. Okay, so now he takes this a step further. Okay, and he notes that this understanding of life is not something that we're born with. Okay, and this chachma, this understanding, this light, this or, so it takes time to develop this understanding of life. Okay, or more precisely, that when a baby is born, so they don't have understanding. Okay, and it takes time to develop this. Okay, so he's basing himself on a Gemara. That the Gemara says that why is it that the goats go before the sheep, and Rashi explains that it's going. Thank you. It's referring to that in a herd, so the goats go first, and the goats happen to be black, and the sheep happen to be white, and so the Gemara answers that Kibriyasa Shel Olam, that's like the way that the world was created, that the darkness comes before the light, like it says, Vaye'er, Vayevaker. Okay, that night, and there was night, and there was day. So,
where's the talk about the goats?
Where?
Where's the talk about the goats?
Where is it? No, that's the reality. The Gemara. Somebody asked, why is it that in a herd, that if you're a shepherd, so the goats always go first. The goats always go before the sheep, and so they answered him because the goats are dark and the sheep are white. So the darkness has to come before the white. Okay. So he explains that what is this when it's talking about these izim, it's talking about these goats. So it's actually a metaphor. It's actually a metaphor for the azut of the brazenness of the ego, the brazenness of just being very artsy, being very materialistic, and this azut. Why is it? So why is it that we have to be born with this materialism? Why is it we born with this lostness, with this not having a clarity of what we're doing with our lives, and only afterwards do we get the whiteness? Only afterwards do we get the clarity in life. So to which the Gemara said, that it's Kibriyas Shel Olam, that's the way the world was created. It was created. First there was night, and then there was day. Then there was day. So this is really the such a deep idea, that why does there need to be lacking in the world? Okay, he in the next Torah, so Rabbi Nachman Shinabel, so he talks about this reality with a different metaphor, which is also from this week's Parsha, and that is what's called miut hayarech, the lessening of the lessening of the moon, the shrinking of the moon. Okay, that Hashem says that He's going to shrink the moon, and then and the moon was complaining, and he tried to appease the moon, and the moon was not appeased, and at the end of the story, so Hashem says, I have to bring on Rosh Chodesh, you have to bring me a carbon katos, because I need an atonement. I need an atonement for having shrunken the moon. Okay, so this what is this thing of Meor? Okay, so the Yareach, this is us. Okay, Hashem is the sun, and we are the moon. What we know about the moon is that that it doesn't have anything of itself, it doesn't have its own entity, that the moon is simply a reflection of the sun. And so it's our purpose in this world to be a reflection of the sun, of Hashem. Okay, that's our ideal, that's our meaning, that we are here to promote God in the world. So the Hashem did this crazy thing called Meor, that us, the moon, that we became small. Okay, that we became Hashem shrunk us, and that our ability to bring Hashem's glory into the world is actually going to be affected negatively. Okay, and tried to appease us, and it didn't work. And then at the end of the day, so then just like there's no good answer. Why can't it be? Why can't it be that we're just able to just really, really bring Hashem's glory into the world, really bring Hashem's light into the world? So this Meor, this is symbolizing galut. This is symbolizing exile. This is symbolizing all of the Chil Hashems in the world. This is symbolizing all of the wars in the world. All of this, the fact that Jews have such a bad PR in the world. So this is really the pre-written, it's pre-set in the Meor. Okay, so and it's pre-written in Vayer Vayivoker. Now I find this so fascinating that Rav Nachman Rav Shnavos, so when he's talking about like all of the galus in the world and all of the fact that we don't understand, the fact that I would have thought that what's the source of all the messed up things in the world, I would think that the source is from sin. The source is from the chet of the Eitz Hadat. It's because we messed up. It's because of our sinat chinam. It's because of our mistakes that's why everything is messed up. And that is not what he says. He says that all of the messed up things in the world was predestined from way before Adam was created. It was from day one, Vayer Vayivoker, that Hashem created reality. The very first reality was that first there needed to be darkness, and only afterwards there was able to be light. That even on the fourth day, before there was Adam and Eve, so that the moon became small, meaning that the ability to reflect God's glory in the world became tinted, became blocked. So this is he's saying something very, very deep here, and this is just the way it needed to be. That don't anybody think that this is not ideal. Don't think that it's because we made mistakes. This is actually the way it needed to be. Okay, and he continues this metaphor to explain why it actually needed to be like that. Okay, and that is like this. So why are we born? Why are we born without das, and we have to develop das? And in the same vein, so why does the geula need to be preceded by this horrible galus? Okay, like I was giving a class the other day to the Zoom with Reb Leibish, and so I quoted there from Rav Kook. Rav Kook writes in the Orot HaMelchama that every time that there is a big war in the world, so mitarer orosh HaMashiach, so the light of Mashiach is awakened. That Eit Hazamir Hagia v'Kol Atar Neshma Be'atzenu, and the greater that the shakenness is, the greater that it's awakening the light of Mashiach. Okay, so he was writing this about World War I, and that all the more so when there's a war on Israel, and all the more so when it's the worst war that Israel has ever faced. That everyone's saying that this is the most horrible thing that the state of Israel has ever seen. That all the more so. So this is waking up the light of Mashiach. Okay, and so why does it need to be? Why does it need to be that in order to have a geula, you need to have a galut? Why does it need to be that in order for there to be Mashiach, there has to be this war, there has to be this brutality, there has to be this horrific reality? So this is what he's coming to explain over here. And he explains that the katos, that having this lack of ability to understand, having this small-mindedness, so this represents nekeva. This represents a feminine energy. Okay, and the moon is feminine, right? And the having gadlut, being the source of understanding, so that represents masculine energy. Okay, so the connection between the feminine energy and the masculine energy is that this does quote from the after the sin. It says that after the sin of the itadat, it says Hashem tells Eve that ve'elecha teshukato, that you will have a tshuka to your husband. Okay, so in other words, that the way it's supposed to be is that a wife is more in love with her husband than a man is in love with his wife. That there's a certain yearning that the woman has to her husband. I'm thinking now, perhaps that has something to do with the fact that the Torah once upon a time permitted polygamy, but I really have no idea. I'm against polygamy, no, absolutely. But there's something about a woman who's yearning for her husband, who's lonely because her husband is away. Okay, and that a husband can just manage, he can just hang out with his friends, but a woman needs her husband. And this is something that I think is true in a certain sense. I'll tell you what I do know. That's something that I heard from my Rebbe, that he was talking about his sister actually, that his sister was married to Reb Nachum Petzavitz. Reb Nachum Petzavitz died very young, and she never remarried, and so he told me that an almana, that a widow is always in mourning. That she never gets over her deceased husband. It's that like a widower, it's much quicker to just move forward than a widow. Okay, so there's something that a woman's feels that her essence. I mean, I guess perhaps another example of this is YouTube gonna censor me if I say anything sexist? Right? I'm joking. Right? So it could be the people are going to stop listening to me. But I think it's also true that the girls from a young age dream of being a bride. You have if so many little girls on Purim that they want to dress up to be a kala. It's they're all excited about being a kala, and guys are less into it. They're I think there's more girls that want to get married young than guys that want to get married young. I think the only guys that want to get married young is only because they have a girlfriend and then they became religious, and then they realized that it's less fun to have a girlfriend if you're religious. So I think that's the only people that I know that want to get married young. The boys that want to get married young, and with girls it's much more common. And I think that there's something that is built into the psyche of feminine energy, that she needs a husband. On the other hand, this is not to contradict what I said, but I've noted over the years, you've probably noted this as well, that the girls actually single girls age better than single guys, meaning that the older that people get single, so at some point boys just go a little bit off, and that's a big problem, that you have when guys and girls in the mid-30s, so the guys are a little bit weird. And and the girls are still like, meaning that a guy needs a girl to retain his sanity more than a girl needs a boy to retain her sanity. Okay, but that doesn't mean that maybe that's why. Maybe because she's like, she knows that she has this healthy yearning, healthy wanting. Okay, so bottom line, there's a certain ve'elecha teshukato. Okay, this is built into the creation. It's the pasuk in Chumash. Ve'elecha teshukato. There's a certain shuka that the feminine energy has to the masculine energy, and that is the yearning of the katos to the katos. Okay, this is our yearning to Hashem, and this is the reason why we need to have lacking in the world, is in order to have the yearning, and it's through the yearning of the feminine energy that the masculine energy comes and appreciates its being yearned for, and it's through this that they have the yichud. It's through this that they have the chibur, the connection. Okay, so this is because the katnos is what has, because the lacking is, there's something beautiful about lacking. There's something beautiful about being small. And that is, when you're small, so you're not big. When I'm not big, so what do I have? I don't have bigness, but I do have yearning. And it's through this chukka, through this yearning, through this longing, that actually brings the godless down. It brings the sun down. It brings the tikkun, the geula down, and it's through that they come together. And this is what it means, that let nahara, this famous saying from the Zohar, say a famous teaching, that let nahara eladasi migal chashachat, that there is no light besides the light that comes from amidst darkness. Okay, so meaning that it's through the darkness, it's through the chaos, it's through this feeling of lacking, a feeling of this can't be. It's through this that we feel this yearning, we feel this longing. And it's through the feeling of longing that the geula comes. Okay, so this is why we needed to have this, to be born without das. This is why we needed to have this this galut, to have this lacking. And this is really the Meor. This is really the symbolism of the Meor, the fact that the moon was made to be small. Okay, so now we have a mitzvah. We have a mitzvah called Kiddush HaChodesh. Okay, Kiddush HaChodesh. Okay, what's it called, Kiddush HaChodesh? So he writes that the reason why we call it called Kiddush HaChodesh is from the word Kiddushin. It's from the word of getting married. It's from the same language as getting married. And what's really happening in Kiddush HaChodesh is that once a month, so Hashem is inviting us to escape this katnos. He's inviting us to escape this small-mindedness, to escape this chaos, and really just enter this elevated reality, this elevated mentality of really understanding, of this godless. Okay, and that's actually the ability of what's happening of every time that we're doing Kiddush HaChodesh. Hashem is inviting us to escape the reality of katnos, to escape the reality of galut. And this is how he explains that a passage that we say during Kiddush HaChodesh, that Amar B'Yishmael, that if we would only have the ability to greet the face of God once a month, that would be enough. If that's the case, so then we need to do it standing up. Okay, so Rav Nachman of Shnabel says that this is what it means, that every time that we're saying Kiddush HaChodesh, so what we're really doing is that we're saying, Hashem, that I know that this is crazy. I know that the fact that everything is backwards and I don't understand anything and everything is just is upside down. So I know that this is not real. Pick me up. allow me to see just for a moment, to be connected to your understanding of the world. And that's what it means. So then that you need to do standing up. Okay, that this is a mitzvah that is elevating our perspective. Okay, that the once a month Hashem is allowing us to get this. And this is bechinas kedusha. This is called Kiddush HaChodesh. Okay, so now now he writes that there is another way. There is another way to do this. We don't have to wait for Kiddush HaChodesh. We have most people say Kiddush HaChodesh right after Yom Kippur. Right after Yom Kippur. So he says there's actually, I hope we can find this, that there's actually another way to escape this. There's another way to escape this. And that is really connected, it's really connected to what we said before. It's really connected to the fact that Bereishit bara Elokim, the Bereishit is a reference to learning Torah. Okay, and this is why it's so important. It's so amazing that we're able to learn Torah, and it's so that the learning Torah is really what elevates everything in the Galut. And he writes as follows: V'chein b'shad ezek haTorah, mi shezocha liot osek b'lishma b'mochin gedolim, al yedei ze yotze gam ken mebechinas katnos u'miyot he'areach. That a person who's learning Torah, he also is able to escape the curse of the shrunkeness of the moon. U'b'chinas gadlus hadas u'mochin gedolim. V'yitkavut gadol lebarei baruch hu baruch shmo, shemargish b'nafsho v'yitkalut v'yitkashrut b'avato yitbarach shmo b'olam ha'od. That he feels through learning Torah, he's able to find a deep and real connection to Hashem. Devekut gedola, bechinas me'en shahaya b'shas matan Torah, shu zivik panim b'fanim, iskalos bechinas tumka b'chinas dacha. And at that moment, so then the feminine energy is connected with the masculine energy, and there's mamash yichud, there's mamash oneness, there's mamash unity. Just like what happened at Mount Sinai, that we just became one with God. So every time that person is learning Torah, so then he's able to have this unity. That's what it means. Aken amru, ein lecha ben charen ela misha osek b'Torah. And this is what it means, that ein lecha ben charen, that a person who's learning Torah becomes free. So what does it mean that he becomes free? So the Gemara says two things. Chirut mishibud malchios, that he is free from galut. He's free, he becomes free from the exile. And this is what it means. There's a famous story that with Chavetz Chaim, that people would come to him for a bracha to not have to go to the draft of the Russian army. The draft in the Russian army was a horrible thing. Had to go for 25 years, and it was horrible conditions. So they would go, and sometimes he would give a bracha that kol hamakabel alav al Torah mavir mimeno al shibud malchus. That if you accept on yourself the yoke of Torah, then Hashem will take away from you the yoke of the nations of the world, of the yoke of the shibud, the yoke of being enslaved by the other nations. And this is galut. This is galut. Okay, this is there's a crazy story about Rabbi Melech. Once they asked Rabbi Melech that when you were by the Maggid, you had the Maggid himself, you had Reb Zusha, you had all these tzaddikim, you had Reb Nachum Chernobyl, you had so many the Balatanya, you had so many tzaddikim. So how could you not bring Mashiach? How could you not bring Mashiach? So he said a scary thing that I'm embarrassed to say this, but it was so good when we were learning Torah by the Maggid. It was so good that I forgot we were in Galus. So I don't know what to do with that story. I'm just saying it the way it is. But because it's hard for me to really believe that they weren't aware of how horrible it is that we were in Galus. But I'm noting that a person that's really connected to Torah, so this is the way we bring the light of Geula into the world. Okay, not only that, but he takes this a step further. And when it says that a person that's connected to Torah is free, so there's another thing that he's free from, that is that he's free from the angel of death. Okay? So that because David Malach, it says the Chazal say about David Malach that because he was learning Torah, so when it came his time to pass, so the angel of death was helpless. He wasn't able to take away his life. Because he was connected to Torah, the Torah is the tree of life. So if you're connected to the tree of life, then the angel of death, oh no, I think this went. Yeah, but I think they probably left already. I think it was a while ago.
Oh, okay.
It said a while ago that it was 10 minutes, but okay.
No worries, we'll just go right back in. They're still there.
So it says about a bunch of other Tanaim that they it says, I think it says about Rabbi also that the Malach Mavos wasn't able to take away his life, and so because the Torah is Neitz Chaim, because the Torah is the tree of life, so a person who's connected to Torah, so they are invincible to the angel of death. Okay, so a person who's connected to Torah, so he is free from death. Okay, and this is the koach of Torah. Okay, this is the koach of Torah when learned properly, when learned lishma. So the koach of Torah is able to bring geula and is able to bring life. Okay, so why is that? It's because the still there.
Yeah. Few people.
What?
Few people. And just turn off the waiting room so that they don't have to.
Okay. Who's still there?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Apple and.
Indeed. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. So this is this is really why it's really so special. The koach of Torah. The koach of Torah is it says the Torah is magen. The Torah protects us. The Torah brings life into the world. The Torah brings geula into the world. So anybody that's not able to, they're not able to be on the front, not able to really to protect the Jewish people with their actual fighting. So what can we do? So we feel helpless. So we learned last time about Tehillim. We learned that we can always daven, and there's actually another thing you can do, and that is learning Torah is another way of bringing geula into the world, of bringing protection into the world, of bringing light into the world, of bringing life into the world. Okay, just bringing the angel of death away, that there should only be life. Okay, Torah brings life into the world. So this is something that we can really do. They can really feel that we're part of this. If we're on the front of this war, and it's a real thing that part of this idea that Bereishit bara Elokim, part of this idea that there's a deeper way of understanding life, of understanding reality, that there's a way of looking at life like a guy. You can look at life with a secular view, that things are random and things are crazy, and you can look at the Ruach Elohim or that everything in life, you can see that this is God speaking to me, that this is God bringing His will into the world through history. So that if a person is aware of this, so then everything takes a different face. Okay, there's a crazy teaching I saw once from the Marsha, that it says in Brachas that if a person passes the rock on which Moshe sat during Melchamas Amalek, so there's a bracha that Baruch Atah Hashem she'asa neis la'avaseinu b'makom hazeh. That thank you Hashem for doing a miracle for our forefathers in this place. Okay, so the Moshe asks a very very practical question that I can imagine my students asking this question, that hold on a second, but the miracle was that they won the war. So the battlefront was in the valley. Like he was on the hill and they were in the valley, and so it should say that if you pass the valley in which they fought the war, then you should say She'asa nes lavasinu b'makom hazeh. And why does the Gemara say that you should make a bracha when you pass the rock where Moshe was sitting? So he says something very, very crazy, that the war was really fought on this rock. That how the war would play out in the battlefront was really dependent on how it was fought in the place of davening. That Moshe was davening. Moshe was the source of their emunah, and through their emunah, so that's what that v'kasher harim yado v'gavar Yisrael v'kasher yaniach yado v'gavar Amalek. That really how things played out on the battlefront was dependent on how things played out on the spiritual battlefront. So, and this is where the war is being played. So that we shouldn't feel that we are exempt from this battle just because we weren't called in for reserves, and that everybody wherever you are can really take part in this war, and we have this responsibility of our Tehillim, of our Torah, of bringing the light of Geula into the world, of chasing away the angel of death. And so this is really very much a very time-appropriate teaching. Like first of all to appreciate that why we need galut, why we need this craziness, why we need this chaos, why we need this katnut and this small-mindedness, and that it's for the yearning. That Hashem wants us to think that to realize how crazy the world is without the tikkun, how crazy the world is with this choshech, tahom, that tohu vavo, and He wants this to bring out of us that we really, really want Hashem's presence in the world. That we really, really can't take it anymore. That life is so crazy, and it's through this yearning that we bring the zivug. Through this yearning that we bring down the Or of Mashiach, and secondly to understand that the Torah brings down the Geula. The Torah Lishma, Tefillah, it brings the Geula, brings this light, brings the Ruach Elokim. And so I bless us all that we should really see the Geula mamish very, very, very now, very soon. And Hashem should really give a shmira, a light of life, a life of protection, a life of Geula in all of their fighting. That all of the evil should really be obliterated very, very instantly, and we'll see that how at the end how somehow this is all going to make sense, and we'll see that this was all just really part of this plan for there to be amazing news. B'ezrat Hashem.